Good day and welcome to another Paddocks Club video tutorial. Today, as I sit in my home office and look outside into the smoke that surrounds the entire Cape Peninsula as a result of the veld fires that have been raging through the Fynbos, it puts me in mind of a story very appropriate for community schemes. And so I thought I would just waste your time. If you heard the story before, please forgive me. I don't think you have though. This is the story of a scheme which was developed on what had been a farm up the west coast of the Cape. And an inventive developer took a farm, left the farmhouses as one area, and then built a whole lot of chalets. And I'm guessing there might have been 20 or 30 chalets on this particular farm. And then, because it was designated a resort area, was able to open a sectional title register, which he did, and he transferred the units, each of which was a log cabin surrounded by a large exclusive use area. The only common areas were some bushveld where they ran some game, and the roadways and access ways. The rest of it were all subject to exclusive use areas. And during the course, this scheme went very well. It was very popular. People used to go there for their holidays, and the trustees hit a problem. The insurers came along and said, look, in order for us to extend your fire insurance, you're going to have to buy various water tenders, you're going to have to do various works on the land, cut various fire breaks and do other things. And they looked at the cost of all this and they said, you know, we really can't afford to do this. And so they were quite open with owners. They called meetings and they said, look, we just can't afford. So, you know, this is not going to work. We can't do it. This insurance is going to lapse. And they suggested to owners that they should get their own insurance. And some of the owners who owned other properties were able to extend the insurance cover on their residential urban properties so as to include their timber lodge in this particular scheme. And they did in fact have cover. But for at least half of them, they didn't. Perhaps they didn't realize the significance, perhaps they didn't get around to it, but for whatever reason, the necessary works weren't done, the necessary body corporate insurance wasn't obtained, and lo and behold, you know what's coming next, a fire. It ran right through this whole thing and destroyed about half of the log cabins and laid waste to the infrastructure. The short answer was that some of those who were destroyed were insured, so it wasn't a problem. Those who weren't had no recourse whatsoever. The body corporate had in fact told everybody, but the question was, did the body corporate have the power not to insure the buildings in the scheme against fire? Now, you know the answer to that question. But so, and all sorts of trouble and arose from that, as you can well imagine. I won't get into that detail. What I will get into is the fact that even after this happened, the body corporate remained resistant to the concept of complying with their statutory obligation to get fire insurance over all the buildings and other improvements in the scheme. And lo and behold, this you probably won't believe, but about 4 years later, a second fire came through and took a whole lot more of the units. There is no excuse for not having fire insurance. Whatever you have to pay, whatever levies have to be raised, whatever you need to do, get fire insurance. And if you are in a scheme that doesn't have fire insurance at all, I suggest you consider selling. And if you are a trustee in such a scheme, I suggest that you run for cover, resign immediately and sell. It just doesn't make any sense. I know this sounds awfully obvious, but these were intelligent people. These were people in good jobs. These were people who just looked at it and thought, no, well, we can't afford to. Well, that's not an answer. It's not an acceptable answer, because the requirement in terms of the Sectional Titles Act to obtain fire insurance for all the buildings and other improvements in the scheme is an absolute. Please bear this in mind, and if you have any questions, I will not be giving the name of the scheme out, but if you have any questions, please deal with them in the discussion forum.